Trust Your Struggle is a place of inspiration. We have these conversations with individuals about the monumental struggles that they've had in their life, what they've done to overcome them, how these struggles and what they've done have kind of helped define who they are today. Scotty Cummings, aka Scotty Strange, has struggled with mental health since he was a teenager. His depression and anxiety has left him feeling afraid to take the leap and try new things, but now he's a co-owner of Strange Magic Co., which is an art-focused streetwear brand. He recently turned one of his side hustles into a full-time gig, which is helping small businesses on their social media content creation. Scotty's been able to make these moves with changing his mindset by not letting his fears and doubt control him.
My name is Scotty Cummings. 27 years old, going on 28 here, and I've been in the advertising industry or video production industry for the past 5 years as a project manager and or producer. Prior to that, I was in large format print for about 5 years. Originally born in California, Long Beach, the LBC, but moved out here. Moved out here when I was pretty young, 5 years old. But all of my extended family's out there, so did a lot of back and forth. Grew up kind of in the Gilbert Chandler area. Hopped around to a couple different high schools there, and then after graduating, I spent 3 years in the Pacific Northwest in Seattle. And then recently, within the past couple years, I found myself back here, living in the downtown Phoenix area. So good to be home with the family and everything like that. So it's kind of my high-level summary of me.
Nice, dude. How long were you out in the Pacific Northwest?
I was out there for 3 years, and honestly, it was a fantastic experience, growing up out here in the desert and then moving over there. It's about as different climate as you could get.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
But I loved it, man. Seattle has a huge place in my heart, and I learned a lot about myself, leaving the nest and going out there on my own. And honestly, the only reason I came back was for a job. So it kind of worked out, got that experience to go away, and it's nice to be back. But
that's cool. So did you have roommates, or did you live on your own when you were out there in Seattle?
Yeah, one of my best friends growing up out here went out there to go to the Art Institute of Seattle and needed a roommate and called me one day, and I was at a point in my life where I was looking for a change and something to do, and I said, all right, man, put in my 2 weeks and moved out there and just kind of made it work. So it was cool.
Were you nervous?
No, honestly, it felt so right, and I was so ready for that change. I didn't know what it was. I just needed the push, and it was an opportunity that I couldn't say no to, and I was willing to go out there and just figure it out and make it work. So moved out there and right away landed a job at Vans, the shoe store. So worked at Vans downtown for a few years. Multitude of like different positions and stuff. Started as a floor supervisor, and then I picked up something else that was more full-time, so I dropped down to part-time there, but very involved in that community there. Love my Vans fam, still talk to a lot of them there. It's really felt connected and plugged in right away, so it wasn't a big issue there.
I hear they have a really great company culture. I've never worked with them, but
yeah, I love Vans. I'm a fanatic. Working at corporate would be the dream. So,
right. One thing that's really awesome about Vans is like they spread the gamut of like who their market is. It's pretty amazing. You have little kids up to people in their 60s that are rocking bands. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool. That's very very few. I would say there's very few brands out there that have stayed authentic like that and stretched that.
I think it's cool because everybody has a story, and that's one of my favorite parts is that working retail like that, you got family coming in, they're wearing Vans and it's getting their kids' first pair of Vans, or, skaters off the street getting the pro model and talking about skate videos and stuff like that, or, just, bikers, musicians, they play into a lot of different cultures and stuff like that, and it's very inclusive across the board. And Steve Van Doren is like my Santa Claus, so I got
Right.
to meet him a couple times, and he's just this big jolly fellow, and I just love the energy. And it's the same thing too. Growing up in California, I've been to the Vans U.S. Open a couple times, and everything about that culture and community has been a huge impact on my life. So
Now, is that so? If anyone doesn't know, you have a clothing line or apparel line, right?
I do.
So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course, man. That's my baby. I have a clothing and apparel line, Strange Magic Co. Me and my brother from another mother, Adam Garcia, started that when I moved back here, actually. That started over some small conversations of, oh, check out this designer. Oh, I like your shirt today, and then realized we both had a passion for that, and it was a great way to showcase our artwork and connect to a community in a little bit of a different way. So it's very art focused, art and design. Really try and emphasize on the capturing the creative process through streetwear, which is a little different. And I think it's been really cool for us to collaborate with people. You did a shirt, which was awesome, and
Thanks, dude.
banking on some of that right now of collaborating with other people and putting other artists on and kind of highlighting them. And it's just something different and cool that we've always felt a tie to that community. And I know it's kind of a saturated market. It seems like everybody and their mom has a clothing line and stuff, but giving it some purpose and stuff to really make a difference in the community. And we've been doing it for about 2 years now, and it's steadily growing. It's fun. It has its challenges, its ups and downs, but it's a great thing that I'm really proud of. So
How has that changed, or has it things changed during the pandemic with
Ooh,
running an apparel line?
that's been a huge challenge, to be honest. When I started it, one of the big things for us was I really liked the idea of launch parties to create kind of this community, right? It's the launching new apparel, but it's also a networking opportunity. And we hosted a couple of them inside of galleries. So it was, surrounded around that art kind of vibe, and it had DJ and drinks and everything like that. And that's how we would launch and introduce stuff. So the pandemic made that not really possible anymore. So we have kind of tried to adapt and play in the online game. We've done a virtual launch party with multiple guests on there. And then this last one, we tried to do kind of some video and photo stuff and did like a social campaign behind that. So it's been tough to adapt, like I was saying before, it's a saturated market. So you're competing against, big brands that are, killing it right now. Chinatown Market, the Hundreds, Rebel 8, those kinds of people who already have an established community and network. And we're just trying to put Arizona on the map and really focus on our community here and connecting and then letting that grow organically. But it definitely comes with its challenges. So I think
What do you see for the future of the brand?
I've got dreams, man. I've got big dreams and stuff
Yeah, of
there.
course.
I think it's, something for us right now is it's pandemic. People are out of work and struggling, and right around the election too, that we just launched our last one, so sales weren't quite where we wanted them to be and stuff, but it's not gonna stop us from moving forward. And I'm been working on what looks like for 2021 for us. And I have dreams of doing collaborations moving forward with different artists, putting them on the map. I'd love to figure out some way to give back to the community. Nothing's for sure yet, but it'd be really cool to donate a portion of proceeds to a local school's art program and kind of influence the next generation of artists and designers. It'd be great to figure out growing it enough to be able to do some sort of college scholarship and offer that to people. I'd love to do a podcast and really highlight some of these designers. We've done stuff like monthly playlists and things like that. So just constantly adapting and growing and seeing where it goes.
So is this your full-time gig, or is this something you do on the side?
This is something I do on the side. I'd love for it to be a full-time thing, but it's someday, right? We're just gonna keep working on it and let it grow. But never gonna really give up on that, man. I've had the dream of a clothing company all my life. I never wanted to be a firefighter or an astronaut or anything like that. I wanted to have a cool skate company. That was That was me. I mean, I remember growing up looking at, CCS magazine and watching skate videos,
Dude,
playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 on the N64, skating with the friends around the neighborhood and, you know, going to Tilly's and Zoomies and stuff and chopping it up with them in the skate shops. And that was my dream. My mom ended up having a full ride scholarship to FITM, the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, and she turned it down to have me, but she was
whoa.
also very into that kind of scenic community. So I was a little kid. I mean, I've got pictures of me rocking Jordans and overalls and a snapback, and it's like funny you see these early '90s trends coming back, and I was rocking that as a kid.
Yep.
So yeah, man, that's. I've had multiple clothing companies over my life. I remember the first one I tried to start in high school with some friends, and I was just we were young and dumb, printing low quality shirts and hucking them out for free or selling them out of the trunk of the car, kind of thing. And then that folded, and kind of over the years did a couple other things. Stayed close to the fashion and making merch stuff. Done some stuff for some bands over the years. And then finally really brought it to fruition to do it right after years of practice and experience and trial and error and stuff. So, but it's just a part-time thing right now. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, on all the trade shows too. I mean, Magic or an agenda and all that kind of stuff like
Hmm.
is all squashed right now. So
Yeah. It's
you're right. It's not just it's every. I mean, of course, it's a lot of other industries, but definitely the apparel stuff is definitely changing.
Well, the crazy thing too is a lot of, like we were just saying, the '90s fashion trends and stuff are all coming back. So where people are actually making a killing is selling a lot of the vintage clothes. You
Dude, it's
got
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, you see these vintage stores popping up, and they're out at Goodwills and collecting all these finds and stuff, and then flipping them with a markup and everything. But it's all the cool old multicolored windbreakers and old sports stuff and everything like that. So
Dude, if I hung on to all my old stuff, man, I'd probably be rich right now.
right.
Dude, it's insane, yeah. And like even my old band t I used to just wear straight up just band shirts like all the time. That's all that was my attire. And it was just, all black t-shirts and they're all band shit. And now I go into these vintage shops, dude, and these old band shirts that they have for sale are like $80, $100 for some of these band shirts. I'm like, damn it, dude. I should
Yeah.
have hung on to those, man.
It's funny that they sell those. They're selling them for, $80, and they're all like worn and faded. There's like
Dude,
holes in
it's
the
so
armpit, and you're like, man,
yes,
for real?
yes. Oh my God, yeah, it's crazy. It's like, but, and then I've also heard like people buying like boots or whatever, and you send it to a company so they can make it look like they're all worn in and broken in for you and stuff. It's just
Really?
kind of, yeah, I
Wow.
don't know. It's really weird. Yeah,
I think it's
that's
funny.
cool.
Yeah, like I remember like wearing Jordans as a kid. I played basketball growing up, and like I played in those shoes. You know what I mean? They were thrashed and ruined and worn, and now the Jordans are reselling for, I tried to get the same pair I had as a kid, and it was like $280 for a used pair. I was like, what? Yeah. So
Yeah, that's insane. So what else keeps you busy outside of the clothing line, then?
yeah, like I was saying, I've been in the advertising and video production world for the past 5 years, a couple different places that I've worked. And within the last week, I recently took a leap onto a project that I've been working on for the past year or so. That was kind of just another side hustle gig, and I'm trying to go full time with it. So we'll see what happens
Nice.
there. But it's like I was saying, a little social media content creation agency. My passion as a small business owner is helping other small businesses. And I know the world of social media can be a little bit intimidating and confusing for some. So really, I just want to make cool content for cool companies at a more attainable rate than what you find with some big advertising agencies out there. So that's called bare bones. Doesn't mean bare minimum though. So we're just a small scrappy team of social fanatics out here to try and make some cool stuff. So
That's rad. Yeah, I mean, and that's all that shit's changing like daily, so you got to stay on top of it for sure. But again, it
yeah,
is all about creating that content, keeping
yeah,
it
it
consistent.
is. And I think it's fun. Like I said, the passion really is about small businesses and other people that might not know. And I think working on my own brands like Strange Magic and creating the content there and strategizing and doing that stuff, it's just a creative outlet and a way to um, put a different face on you know the internet and connect with people in a different way. I mean, everybody's on their phones nowadays, and that's you're getting served ads through social media more so than broadcast TV. It seems like with everyone and streaming services and social. So
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Well, we'll have to do a follow up here in like a year or two and see
yeah,
how things are going with that, dude. That'd be really cool.
of
But
course,
speaking
man.
about struggle, dude, what was like, what's been uh, some monumental struggles that you've had throughout your life?
Oh man, that's such a tough question because I think that so many of us struggle constantly throughout life with different things. Is that a financial struggle? Is that relationship struggle? Is that, mental health and other things like that? But I think for me, definitely the biggest struggle that I've had consistently throughout my life has been mental health. Really with struggling with depression and anxiety, which attributes to, some low self-esteem and low self-confidence. And that's been something I've battled with since I don't know, 12, 13 years old, um, off and on, highs and lows, lots of different things like that. But I think we live in a generation, man, where we're constantly comparing ourselves to others. And that kind of left me with some fear and lack of confidence to try and do things. So for a lot of my life, I was too afraid to take the leap, too afraid to try new things and do stuff. Um, but I would have to say moving to Seattle for a couple years and really throwing myself in it was a struggle. People say there's seasonal depression and stuff out there, and um, ironically, I feel like I get seasonal depression here in the summers when it's so hot you can't do anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
um, but yeah, that was a big growing point for me. And I'm not saying that it's perfect or any better now necessarily. I've done years of counseling and trying to talk through stuff and figure it out. But I think you really come to a point eventually where you realize that everybody is struggling with that stuff. We're all, like you were saying, this is kind of everybody has a struggle, and this is a platform which people can be vulnerable and talk about it, which then in turn allows other listeners to realize they're not alone and people go through the same stuff. And we can get through that. We can overcome those things. Um, so for me, man, it's been realizing to not let that fear and that insecurity and that doubt control me. I mean, like I said, I've took a leap and started a streetwear brand. Is it discouraging when people don't like the stuff or don't buy stuff? Yeah, of course, but I'm not going to let that get me down. I'm going to keep pushing, and you just gotta to get up and keep fighting. And yeah,
Well, look at here you are starting your own company too. Like when you first started talking about your struggle here and how you had those insecurities and weren't really inclined to really push yourself or like and now look
mhm.
at like you're fucking doing it. Like that's huge, man.
And it's terrifying. I'll admit that it
Of
is.
course, right?
But that's the thing is, not to be cliche, like you only live once or anything like that, but it's really uh, if I don't do it now, like when am I gonna do it? And maybe I do this for a year and we do another regroup and I go, haha, yeah, that folded and didn't do well at all. And now
Right.
I'm on to the next thing. But like at least I tried, and that's the point of life is, going through and discovering what you like to do and pursuing that. I think I was kind of raised to believe the formula, the American dream, go to school, work hard, get a good job, move up through that corporate ladder, and then make lots of money, get married, buy a house, have kids. And I followed that trajectory for a long time and then realized, wow, this is not what I was wanting to
Right.
do with my life. And since then, man, it's just been it's been fun to explore new things and really go on this journey of self-discovery and find myself. And I think I don't know who I am at all. I mean, if you really get down to it, we're all going to be on that journey continuously.
Damn, dude. You're right. Yeah. That's so. What does your family think about you doing your own thing now?
Um, they are
Since
very
they wanted
supportive.
you on that path, right? Like,
Yeah,
you know.
I'm fortunate enough to have a very supportive family. And I think what's interesting is, I was scared to like tell them or do any of that stuff. And then when I did, it was nothing but support. So I don't know where this like false idea of like, oh, they're gonna not be happy that I'm not in this career or doing these things. I just remember like my grandfather was adamant about being a doctor, like you need to go to school and do this or whatever. And he wanted me to be a pharmacist. And I was like, yeah, this sucks.
Yeah.
um, and I fell in love with art and design. I went to EVIT, the East Valley Institute of Technology, for part of my day in high school, and like accidentally fell into the design and multimedia program.
How
And
did
I
you
made
accidentally find that out?
so funny story is I actually was going to go for cosmetology school, um, and that's also another thing that's really never left me is that you know not to be like vain or materialistic or anything like that, but like I care about how I look. I mean, I've obviously got a streetwear brand, that's been a
Yeah.
big part of my life. But I wanted to be a barber. And apparently through EVIT's cosmetology program, you had to do these additional things prior, like some essays and things like that to get accepted. And I was actually trying to drop out and get a GED of high school and made a deal with my parents that I'd go to EVIT. That didn't work out. And I was like, well, I got to figure something out. So design seems cool, and ended up in that program, man, and it changed my life there for sure. Made some lifelong friends that I still keep in touch with, um, and I picked up the camera for the first time, did some photo stuff there, was learning about Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, all that kind of stuff, and the basics of design. And then from there, I actually took it straight out of high school and got a job at a print shop doing pre-production, and worked my way up to a production manager there and was in large format print for like 5 years and doing some freelance stuff on the side. Um, and a lot of the friends and stuff that I made, and then, taking the influences from my life of street art and skate culture and that kind of stuff. I mean, that's where we started making stickers, man, getting sticker paper at Staples and laminate and, printing
Yep.
out our designs and cutting it out and slapping them up all over the place. So
That's
that's,
fine. And this was in high school, right?
yep. This was in high
That's
school. So my
that's
junior and
funny, dude.
senior
Like
year.
I have a very similar story with that. So I was in high school. I forgot what it was called, but they had extracurricular activities of like drafting and graphic design and a bunch of other stuff, and it was at a different school. So you had to take a bus over there or drive yourself or whatever. And I was doing drafting because I love to draw, but I didn't really see like any sort of future in doing anything like that. And so I was like, well, next thing up would be like drafting, and I can become an architect or whatever. So started going to that class, and then I was taking the bus, and then some of these other people that I rode the bus with were taking the design class, and they were showing me all the stuff they did in Photoshop. So I started like ditching the architect class, and the teacher was cool, and he just let me sit into the Photoshop one, and that's really where I started like learning Photoshop and really experimenting with just digital art, and I was just like, that blew my mind, like once I found out like what was possible. And one of the days that I was there, the Art Institute of Phoenix was there talking to the class. One of the days that I had ditched and was in the Photoshop class, and they had talked about Art Institute and what it was all about. And I was like, that's what I want to do. Like and so yeah, I went to the school and signed up, and yeah, the rest is history. But I love architecture as well. I think it's really great, but just doing the drafting thing, man, I just couldn't. There was something about it, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't imagine myself doing that all the time. So.
Well, at least you tried it, and then look where that
Yep.
led you. You know what I mean? Like that led you to happen to meet the people you did and start doing the design stuff. And then it's just, we're all exactly right where we're supposed to be. You know what I mean? That's
Right here.
crazy how your paths cross when they're supposed to, and the connections you make and the people you meet. And that's what I love about life.
Exactly. And being open to those opportunities, I think, it's, as you said, it's scary. You have a lot of fear with it, but if you let yourself be open to it, you don't know what's going to happen. So I think that's just try to get out there and don't, close doors and don't burn bridges. So.
Exactly. No, I feel like that's definitely, like I said, I struggle a lot with anxiety, man. And sometimes it's hard. I mean, I've gone to job interviews and sat in my car for like 15 minutes before, like, shaking and sweating. And, but then there's other times when you feel completely confident. You don't let that anxiety really control you, and you go in and you be yourself and you kill it and you make these authentic, real relationships, and it's great. So really trying to
Is there
focus on some of
anything
that.
is there anything that you do to manage your anxiety or stress? Like, do you do yoga or meditation or anything like that?
Um, I used to be on prescription drugs, and I will not say there's anything bad about that. If it works for you, that's awesome and that's great. But it shows that that wasn't the path for me necessarily. Um, and I find a lot of, kind of peace and solace through music for me. Spending time with myself. I try and journal when I can, or drawing on an iPad or painting or anything like that, where I can take the time to reflect and spend time with myself, is really important for me. Um, but yeah, man, my partner, she does yoga. I've done it with her. That's just, I'm not flexible. It's not my jam.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the meditation thing, I think there's so many different forms of meditation or prayer or anything like that. But for me, it's not the, cross-legged and the om, that kind of stuff. It's
The Rick
it's more
Rubin
of,
style.
yeah, it's very much more of like a spending time alone, like I drawing and then letting those thoughts kind of come and flow, and having some, I love the jazz hop and lo-fi beats and all that kind of stuff. There's
Yeah.
just like that background noise that really isn't like lyrically obstructing, where you're focusing on lyrics. It's just time for that peace and reflection. So
Nice. Yeah, dude, I love those playlists,
they
especially when I'm.
make time fly. I mean, you just get
Yeah.
lost in whatever you're doing with that stuff. So
Yeah, I'm kind of inspired to like write one of those albums. I think it'd be a lot of fun and therapeutic at the same time.
should I support you
Yeah.
100%. I'd listen
Let's
to
see
it.
what that.
So.
Yeah, dude, that's really cool. But
So I got a
I
question for you.
go for it.
So I know you and I both go to a lot of shows, a lot of concerts. We've actually been at some of the same ones in the past here in the Valley. And I think for me, that's been a huge hit because going to shows was a big part of my life. And with COVID and everything like that, that's kind of been stripped away. But have you felt like you personally or known anyone else who's really struggled with some certain things by the impact of this pandemic that we've had?
On a personal, I mean, like on a personal level, for me, definitely with like not being able to go to shows, music is such a huge part of my life. And I
Mm-hmm.
think there's something very therapeutic about going to shows.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's just not the, people are doing these, live streams, but it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that energy. The music
Mm-hmm.
doesn't sound the same. You don't have that community around you. So I think it's really hard, and I feel really bad for a lot of the musicians and the artists
Mm-hmm.
out there. They're trying to make it work, but again, it's not the same. This last week, Puscifer did a live show for their new album, and it was filmed at Arcosani in Arizona, which
Cool.
is a beautiful, beautiful place. And they did a really good. I mean, it's full production. Everything on it was really, really great. They had multiple sets, like throughout every song had a different set. There was a storyline behind it. So that was really cool. They went and above and beyond, I think, what everyone else has been doing right now. So that was really inspiring, and it was great to see them think outside the box of like, all right, how can
Mm-hmm.
we're not touring, but what can we do to still create an experience for our fans, and it
Yeah.
was awesome. I don't know if you got to check it out or not, but it was really cool.
No, I didn't, but I definitely will. But I like what you were saying there about the energy and stuff like that, man. I've been going to shows, 16 years old, at the clubhouse. That
Oh
venue
wow.
is closed and everything, but I missed that. So, but all around that scene and going to a lot of shows and stuff. And I think what really was good for me is that, struggling with that self-esteem and that self-confidence, you could go to a show, man, you can get lost in the crowd and be immersed in the music, and nobody judges you there, and people are dancing, having a good time, sitting in the back, whatever they're comfortable with, they're all connecting and experiencing that music together. So shows were a big part of my life. Me and my partner, one of our first dates was going to Band of Horses show.
Oh
And I
nice.
think the past year, the last couple of shows I saw, what did we see? We saw Thrice, Atmosphere, um, Emory and Hawthorne Heights, and I had tickets to like 5 shows right when this pandemic hit, and all of those got kind of canceled, and it's that's been hard, man. It's been definitely taking a hit for me on my ways that I like to get out and vent and express myself and be free, and so.
Well, even with what's going on with the pandemic, just kind of, I'm sure it's been a little more difficult for you with everything that's gone on, just with being, kind of stuck at home for the most part. Yeah, you can go out and skate, which is great, I mean, and I think it's really good to keep doing that. But just that sense of community, I think that, we kind of really thrive on that, especially with the creative community. It's like it's really great when everyone gets together. And now that we're not able to do that, I feel a sense of disconnect, even though we're still trying to stay connected. I'm definitely feeling.
Well, I mean, that was last year we went to Crop together, and I know you had Matt Dawson on here. That was a great time and experience. And now, like, all of those conferences are done, and we just did Phoenix Design Week, which was all virtual. And I got to say, they did a great job pulling that off and making it virtual. But it's not the same to be able to be there and shoot the shit and have a drink and catch up and talk about those the struggles. That's why we're here, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of why this all got started. I've had the idea for this for quite some time, probably over a year, but it wasn't until, everything went on. I was like, all right, I'm not going to put it off anymore. I too, like, had a lot of internal things about it. Like, oh, I got to have the right equipment, and I got to have, the right mics and right audio and all this stuff. And then when everything happened, I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to do it. And, I'll do it in this platform and just put it out there and just continue to do it and share everyone's stories, because I miss talking to people.
I absolutely love that. The part right there where you just said that, you try and I got to have this, I got to have this, I got to do all these things to do it right. But, like, you just got to do it, man. You just got to start. And that was a big thing for me, like, trying to make sure I had all of these different pieces to do it and do it to the expectation or the level that I want to. But you learn and you grow and you make it work, and you just gotta do it. Follow your heart, pursue those dreams, manifest those ideas into reality, man. That's what it's about. So,
dude, yeah, that was awesome. Well, if anyone wants to connect with you, follow you, where can they find everything at? And want to give a shout out to the Strange Magic too as well. So
yeah, so I'm Scotty Cummings. You can find me on Instagram at Scotty Nolan, and Strange Magic. Please go check it out. It's art inspired streetwear, capturing the creative process through streetwear. Got some cool stuff coming up, and done some cool collabs and things like that. You can find us on Instagram at strange_magic.co. And our website is www.strange-magic.co. I really wish I could have got the dash and the underscore the same on that, but yeah, those are my.
You just make it work.
Yeah, you just make it work. Yeah, those are my personal pages, man. I gotta thank you again for having me on here. It's truly an honor. There's some other great episodes that I've really enjoyed listening to, so it's special for me to have had the opportunity to come on here and share my story and be vulnerable, man. That's real special.
I really appreciate that, because I know it's not easy, but it's very appreciative. And I really hope that others are going to get out of it as much as I have. Every time I have these conversations, I always get a lot out of it. So I'm selfishly doing it for myself too, I guess, right? So
I think it's cool, man. You put it out there, and like I said before, everyone's going through struggles all the time, and we don't know what those are. So be kind to one another, love one another, be patient and understanding, and we're all in this together. So thanks for having me. I hope that somebody gets something out of this, and I'm excited to see who else you have on here next.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.